Hello, happy Ames Pridefest. This is the September installment, and I'm Susan Gent. I'm a member of the Ames Pridefest Storytelling Committee, and tonight I represent the Ames Public Library. This month's storytelling theme centers around education and labor, and we'll be introducing tonight's storyteller, Shawn shortly. The Pridefest 2020 Storytelling Project is presented in partnership with Ames Public Library and sponsored by the Project of Primary Healthcare. This project creates opportunities for community members to participate in the celebration and also allows us to archive these stories. As you all know by now, our events for Pridefest are taking place virtually this year from June through December. And when you visit the amespride.org page, you can find out about upcoming programming and apply for our November storytelling event. And you can also submit material for the Pridefest zine, see all our sponsors. So check it out. And I should mention things are getting updated all the time. So some need to know items before we begin tonight. We are recording this evening's event, which will eventually be closed captioned and put on the Ames Pride YouTube channel. Live captioning is available via Otter, and it can be accessed in the upper left-hand corner of the Zoom window by the live box. Just click on Live Notes and choose to view the stream. I will also see if I can figure out what the link is and put it in chat. If anyone doesn't have that link work, please put that in chat and I'll figure that out shortly. You can add your pronouns to your screen name if you'd like. All you have to do is click on the participants icon at the bottom of the screen, then click more after your name, choose rename, add your pronouns, or change your name entirely if you want. Once you click OK, you're done. Our team is moderating chat for appropriate interaction tonight, and we look forward to you sharing related ideas and links which enhance the program. We aren't going to use the Q&A. We'll be monitoring your questions in chat, and then Logan Metzger, our facilitator tonight, will ask Shawn those questions on your behalf at the end of the presentation. The Storytelling Project team has been working since April or May, and that includes A. Norman, Nikki Port, Tanvi Rastogi, and Logan Metzger. I've had the pleasure of working with Logan on several projects, and he will be facilitating this evening's conversation. He grew up near Marshalltown and is studying English education at Iowa State. He's also a reporter at the Iowa State Daily, so he's the perfect person to be asking questions tonight. And I am going to let Logan take it away, please.
Hello, everybody. Tonight's storyteller is Shawn Boyne. And she currently works at Iowa State University. She's a former tenured law professor at Indiana University. Indiana University's Robert H. McKinney School of Law, and after 10 years of practicing criminal law as a prosecutor and then as a defense attorney, she has returned to school to obtain her PhD and entered the legal academy. She had to confront her own trauma caused by sexism and homophobia to graduate law school. As a law student, she published a groundbreaking study titled Women in Prison with AIDS, an Assault on the Constitution. Tonight, Shawn will tell us about a time she stood up for what she believed in, even though it might have risked her graduating from law school. Wow. I know you'll enjoy this and other stories Shawn has to share. So I'm welcoming Shawn, and thanks for being here. And yeah, let's hear your story.
Yeah. First, thanks to Susan and Logan for working with me on this story. It's been a while since I've told it. Before I begin, I should start by saying that I'm the daughter of parents who never hesitated to stand up for what they believed in. And pressing one's case was not confined to our evening dinner conversations. Those could be quite spirited. Some of my most indelible memories from my childhood are my parents speaking and acting in a very outspoken manner. For example, I remember rising up from a pew in church one Sunday to join my mother as she walked out of a sermon railing against abortion. I would later convince my best friend that we should show up at altar boy practice long before the Catholic Church ever considered allowing altar girls to serve. The priest leading the training allowed us to finish out the first practice, but then barred us from attending in future weeks. I mention this because it seems hard these days to remember just as far back as the early 70s. And during that period, girls and women who did not want to be homemakers had to fight to open doors in almost every segment of society. The earliest protest I remember leading was back in 6th grade when I organized a group of girls during our school recess period to hold a sit-in on the boys' baseball field. There was only one field and everyone just assumed it was the boys' field. When the boys wouldn't agree to share the field, we walked onto the infield and blocked further play. It was a standoff until a teacher intervened and coaxed the boys into allowing us to use the field 2 days a week. I learned how to be a fearless advocate at an early age because I was also charged with protecting my younger brother. Though he's now quite a bit taller than me, while we were growing up, he was a pipsqueak. My dad, who carries the family's Irish genes, told me that it was my job to stand up for my younger brother. What my dad didn't know was that my brother Dan often instigated trouble, knowing I would have to come to his aid. Unfortunately, I discovered that many of the boys that my brother antagonized had no compunction about swinging at a girl. And Susan has a picture of my brother more recently. Show you how tall he is. We actually, when I lived in Los Angeles, we went horseback riding in the Hollywood Hills. So my brother is the first male in the photo leading, and then a younger version of me on a horse behind him. Thanks, Susan, for showing that picture.
It's a good one.
My protest muscles strengthened in high school as my desire to participate in sports and in several other roles traditionally reserved to the boys led me to distrust most forms of authority. It's important to note that at that time, no one even tried to hide the fact that women and girls were being discriminated against. For example, when I applied to be the stage manager for a high school's musical production, the teacher in charge simply told me, "We want a boy for this job." When it came to boys and girls sports, the disparities in funding were visible every time we competed. For example, while the boys got new uniforms every year, some members of our girls basketball team, including myself, had to play with t-shirts with numbers made out of masking tape. By the time the Watergate crisis hit during my senior year, I walked around with a burning anger against omnipresent gender disparities. On TV each day, one could view the Congressional Watergate committees investigating Nixon's committee to re-elect the president. Those hearings motivated me to create a committee to investigate discrimination against girls' sports. Just like the congressman who grilled Nixon's staff, I had dreams of questioning all the boys' sports coaches, the principal, and somehow getting my hands on the athletic budget. Looking back, I now believe that the Watergate scandal led me to believe that power could and should be challenged. Back in the halls of my high school, however, the powers that be possessed a strong desire to quickly shut down any threat. As a member of a graduating class from the mid-70s, I can tell you that we came on the heels of the sit-ins of the 60s. and so principals and vice principals seemed to be intent at squelching any inkling of a protest. So when my committee to investigate discrimination against girls' sports started putting up posters around the high school, the vice principal ran around the school tearing them down in a rage. He then confronted and backed both me and my co-chair into a corner, screaming at us that we couldn't put up these posters alleging discrimination. So I did what I had been taught to do by my dad. I went home, I told my parents, and it was never a question of whether one of them would confront the vice principal. It was only a question of whom. My parents always had my back. And by the time my dad came back from visiting with the vice principal, we were being invited to put new posters up in the schools. At our very first committee meeting, we decided that we should announce that we planned on suing the school. Since Title IX had been enacted only 3 years before, we were vaguely aware that suing was possible. While we were granted meetings with the principals, and I even got to eventually see the budget, in the end, none of us wanted to jeopardize our graduations. And at a certain point, we decided to settle for a new round of sports uniforms. But to be honest, little changed for the status of girls in our school. As a final insult, when I applied to be our class graduation speaker, I was again told to my face, "We want a boy." Although women's sports were better funded at the college level, Title IX didn't really begin to change spending levels until after I graduated from college. So once I worked for a while after college, and then my sort of anger and feelings of powerlessness led me to go to law school. And during law school, I participated in a number of protests. One protest in particular took place outside a women's prison in California. It was the early years of the AIDS crisis, and the prison segregated HIV positive inmates, and sometimes left them to die in their own excrement. My friend and I drove out to Chino, California to protest right outside the prison. And I actually found an old photo of this from a newspaper at the time put out by ACT UP LA. And ACT UP was a protest group that was very, very active in protesting gay rights and especially AIDS healthcare decisions. So my friend, I think my friend Gingy is the number 2 person from the right, and then I'm the 3rd person. Yeah. There weren't a lot of people there, but we made a lot of noise. So the protests that came to define my law school years occurred in the 3rd year of law school, a mere month before graduation. In many ways, it wasn't a surprise to my family when I found myself at the center of a confrontation with the law school's dean during my last semester of law school. The subject, however, gay rights, was a surprise. At the time, I was not sure of my own sexuality, and I was certainly not out to my parents. My final year of law school, I had the fortune to be elected president of our student bar association. Most of the year was spent arguing over who got the money for the pinball machines. But right before graduation, members of our, it was called the GLBT group at the time, came to a meeting of the Student Bar Association, and they asked for our support. And what they wanted our support from was, in a few weeks, an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Byron White, was slated to come to our campus to judge our moot court competition. For those of you who haven't gone to law school, moot court is a very prestigious event in the law school. Teams of students square off against each other and argue in various rounds in an appellate argument. And typically when the final round occurs, you invite outside judges. So Byron White had been nominated by President Kennedy to the Supreme Court. However, the reason for the protest was he authored the court's 5-4 opinion in Bowers v. Hardwick. And in that decision, the court upheld the constitutionality of a Georgia sodomy law that criminalized oral and anal sex in private between consenting adults. The Bowers opinion was notorious and has later been, I guess, labeled one of the worst opinions in Supreme Court history, because the majority stated that the Constitution did not confer a fundamental right to engage in homosexual sodomy. And in his concurring opinion, Chief Justice Berger quoted the famed 18th century English jurist William Blackstone, and Blackstone had described homosexual sex as an infamous crime against nature, worse than rape, and a crime not fit to be named. So leading the 4 votes writing in dissent, Justice Blackmun noted that the majority opinion displayed an almost obsessive focus on homosexual activity. While this decision was eventually struck down 17 years later, it has been labeled one of the worst decisions. And although it's regarded as a coup if you can get a Supreme Court justice to visit your campus, it's not easy it's easy to see now how inviting Byron White to our campus to judge the moot court rounds was an affront to the gay and lesbian students in law school. And in fact, they argued that his appearance violated the law school's non-discrimination clause. So they had gone to the dean and asked the dean to disinvite Byron White. And rather than grant their request, the dean threatened the group. He told them if they organized a protest inside the competition, he'd make sure they would never pass the California bar's character and fitness tests. So he held the power to block their careers. So the GLBT group asked the Student Bar Association for funds to pay for a protest outside the event. And although Los Angeles in the early 90s was gay friendly, the campus of the University of Southern California was not. In fact, at the time, the Princeton Review noted that the school was best known for its festive fraternity parties, affluent student body, and sports teams. It had nearly a 70% acceptance rate at the undergraduate level. And it's also a private school, and so was never a model of transparent decision-making. So when the GLBT group came before the Student Bar Association, it was an easy vote to provide funds for them to make posters, okay? And this was the day before social media and cell phones. So we had to, oh, my puppy's even upset. We had to protest the old-fashioned way and make protest signs. And I was happy that the Student Bar Association had voted to fund the protest, but 3 things bothered me. First, it was likely that Justice White would never see this protest. I guess that the dean would probably make sure that he came in through the back door of the auditorium, and so none of the protesters would be visible to Justice White. And second, the dean's threat that there couldn't be any protest inside the auditorium seemed to be unjust, especially his threat to not allow protesters to practice law. And although I knew that USC could restrict the right to free speech in pursuit of its own agenda, in this case, it was clear that that agenda harmed our gay students and faculty. So I spoke to a few friends and I decided to sneak a banner into the competition and hold it up while White rose to speak. Being in my 3rd year of law school, I knew it was important to cover my bases. So I spoke to a faculty member who specialized in constitutional law. He's now the dean at UC Berkeley. And I asked him to represent me if I was arrested. When I first asked him, he wavered because it turns out he was the advisor to the moot court board. So I wasn't sure if he was going to represent me. He finally, after he thought about it for a few days, he agreed to represent me as long as I didn't disrupt the student competition. I also discussed my plans with my parents, and they questioned whether taking this step was worth risking my ability to practice law. And I always came back to the fact that what's your law degree worth if you're not willing to challenge inequitable laws? So because the Secret Service was searching people as they entered the auditorium, I wore baggy Indian pants so I could hide the cloth banner wrapped around one of my legs. My friend Gingy also carried a banner into the event with her. And the plan was if I was taken down and arrested during the event, she would stand up with her banner. And I'm not sure if Gingy hadn't agreed to stand next to me that I would have had the courage to pull this off. So Gingy and I found middle seats in the back of the auditorium. And when Justice White stood up to speak, I stood up and I held my large banner that read, USC supports its gay students. The justice stood silently for a moment, looking at my banner. When a couple of Secret Service agents headed towards me, my legs started to actually shake. Both the dean and the associate dean then rose, looking at me and then looking at the Secret Service agents. It seemed like an hour passed. I'm sure it was just minutes. But because I was seated in the middle of the auditorium, the Secret Service agents would have had to get through several lines of students to get to me. And while this was all playing out, I noticed that the dean's face turned scarlet. Fortunately, the associate dean, who was gay, told the Secret Service to stand down. At that point, I also sat down, keeping my promise to my lawyer. I expected to be arrested as I left the building, but I was not. Then came a week of waiting to see what the retribution would be. The only retribution was dozens of hate mail letters stuffed inside my student mailbox. Rather than electing to sanction me, the faculty awarded me a social justice award for my research into women in prison with AIDS. Of course, my parents came to my graduation, and I introduced my outspoken mother to the dean. And I still remember she said to the dean, "I bet you're happy to get rid of Shawn." Kind of smiled, and being the political figure that deans often are, he shook my mother's hand and said, "Of course not." And Susan has a few pictures of my graduation. And after graduation, so here's me with my friend Gingy. And there's me with the Associate Dean, Rob Saltzman, who went on to serve on the Los Angeles Oversight Board for the police in Los Angeles. And then after graduation, in order to get rid of my stress, I went hiking. Gingy and I went hiking in Canyon de Chelly. And this is a photo of me and some of the other women on the hike. And this is a sort of famous historical Native American site. You can see one of the, sort of on the left above the last woman, you can see one of the carvings in the wall there. So it seems difficult now to imagine how far gay rights have come since 1991. We certainly have more progress to make, especially with respect to the transgender community. Ironically, Associate Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was the individual who replaced Byron White on the Supreme Court. And we now face the prospect that the Senate will rush to confirm a conservative justice to replace her and set back all the progress that Ginsburg helped to make for women and gays. My actions had little impact beyond the small community that I was a member of. I don't even know whether most of my classmates remember it. However, as Seneca once wrote, the happy life is not to be found in pleasures or possessions, but in learning what is the right thing to do and then doing it, no matter how many people think otherwise. I'll take questions. Hopefully my puppy won't bark again.
Yeah, so thank you, Shawn, for your amazing story. And if any our participants today, if any of you have questions, please throw them in the chat and we will ask them to Shawn. But while you're thinking of questions to possibly throw in there, I have a couple of my own that I thought of. So yeah, we can go through those. Shawn, you seems that you started protesting in your activism very young. How do you think you knew what to do? Like, were your parents like, oh, this is how you do a protest? Or was there resources you had? Or how did you just know what to do when you started things like that so young?
I guess I had always watched my parents fight for what they believed in and not necessarily attend protests. Though my dad did take me into New Haven when Bobby Seale, who was one of the Black Panthers, was on trial. And I have a very good visual memory, and I remember the banners hanging from the dorms at Yale. And I'm not even sure why he took me to see that. But whenever, I mean, my mother would even, go into school and complain if she thought that a teacher was treating another student, not even myself or my brother, unfairly. So, and obviously the protest at the church, and my dad was really good about if you had a problem with a product or store, he knew how to handle those. And it just never occurred to me not to speak up.
Awesome, cool. And I see we actually have our first audience question. So this is from Nancy. You have a long history of making good trouble. How did that carry forward into your long faculty career? Were you a troublemaking professor?
Yes. Even before I had tenure. It's interesting. When I joined the law faculty, I'd practiced law for 10 years. So I had in criminal law. So there's a lot of back and forth in the courtroom. And I just expected, being a member of a law faculty, that our faculty meetings would kind of be like that. And it took me a while to realize that most of the law faculty had never practiced law. And in fact, the law faculties like to hire people with only 2 to 3 years of experience, probably as a clerk to a judge. So I fit in better with the clinical faculty. And I remember one time when our dean decided to hire somebody outside the normal hiring process. And of course, it was a white male. And we had a couple that was in the area of intellectual property. And we had a couple of females on the faculty that was their research area. And he hires this guy that was like a corporate lawyer, and no faculty were involved in the decision making. And in Indianapolis, there's a private club downtown called the Columbia Club. So I remember standing up in a faculty meeting and saying, why do we bother having a hiring budget if all you're going to do is go down to the Columbia Club? So there were a couple other things I got involved in, but perhaps one of the reasons I eventually left being a faculty member was feeling like I didn't really fit in the law faculty.
Awesome. All right. And then it looks like we have another one from David. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. I've been interested in doing a presentation on the LGBTQA plus people serving the military and were denied medals for bravery and honorable discharges because of their gender identity and sexual orientation. How can one respond to Trump's expulsion of any transgender from the armed forces?
I started doing research on women and AIDS, women who have AIDS who were in prison, because I got chosen to be on Law Review, which is it's a student-run journal, and as part of that, you get to publish a research article. And but I knew, and ironically, even though I've published a book and I don't know how many articles, 50 articles or something, that article I wrote as a student is the most cited of all my research. And but I also published in some local papers at the time. So I guess you have to first think about who are you trying to, what's your audience? And there are a number of journals and publications these days that focus on obviously the military and also transgender rights. And but if you focus on writing to the choir, you might not get much traction. So I think this is an issue that it might actually, you could do some research and then you could approach members of Congress who actually are on those subcommittees dealing with the military and see if they're, the Human Rights Campaign is a nonprofit group of lawyers that does a lot of work in this area. You might even try to get an internship with them, because those nonprofit organizations are connected, know how to do lobbying and things like that. And another interesting thing is to find, if you can find a local story. I mean, is there somebody from Iowa that was denied a medal? Because I could think that the local newspapers would love content like that. And obviously now with social media and blogs, there's a lot more opportunities to write and publish and to get stories out there.
Awesome. Thank you, Shawn, for that. And we have another question from Becca. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. Sorry if I messed it up. But do you have advice for ways to stand up for what you believe in that are effective to have people listen and not write you off as just being bitchy?
I laugh because, that's a favorite thing that they throw at women. You're just being bitchy. And or they'll say that a woman is being too aggressive and the male is just being assertive. So that stuff still happens. What I would do when I was going to make an argument is, and this is something my lawyer taught me, is pick 3 things, pick 3 points. So if you're going to approach somebody advocating for something, give them 3 reasons why your argument is effective. And then the other thing is to try to, like I just suggested with the last question, try to tie it to things that people are going to be concerned about. You're always going to have naysayers. Mm-hmm. Just look at the Black Lives Movement. And then here we have this extensive history in this country of racism. And then we have people saying, no, it's not Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. And they have some people have very, they either intentionally have blinders on, or they just don't want to educate themselves. And I have 6 different college degrees, and maybe it's because I love school, but I always like to learn more. So, arm yourself with knowledge. Don't worry about the naysayers. They're always going to be out there. And you have to decide, and I guess this was never really a decision, but you have to decide. It was never really a decision for me. When I saw injustice, I just thought that it was very important to fight it. And I was a sex crimes prosecutor, so that's not a very popular position either, because you're in one of the cases I did, I prosecuted the first spousal rape case in northern New Mexico. And my boss actually told me that spousal rape wasn't a crime. And so I opened the statute book and showed him. And after I secured a conviction, I got a pink slip.
Oh.
And, but I guess I have a strong sense of faith that, if there are negative consequences, then that prosecution office didn't deserve to have me working there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I ended up on my feet. So I've always ended up on my feet. And if you work hard and you do your research, you can always, the country's big enough and the world is big enough, you can always find kindred spirits.
Awesome. Thank you. I have another question of my own, unless anybody else has something else, if they want to send it in. But so you've lived a life full of activism, as you have told us. How do you think that has really shaped you as a person?
Well, it's actually left me as a person that's always hopeful no matter what happens, because what I've done is so small compared to what other people have done. And I know that situations change. I never really thought in my lifetime that gay marriage was going to be legal. And I think on some of these issues, there's no going back. So I think if I describe myself, I'm a very hopeful person. And the other great thing about being an activist is you meet great people. The people that are close to me in my life are all courageous people, and they're people willing to stand up for what they believe in. And I don't really have a lot of sympathy for people who don't have the courage to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, and so do you continue any forms of activism today, or are you more of a retired activist, or do you just focus on what you do? I don't know. I don't think a retired activist is a thing, but if it is, are you one, or do you just continue? What do you do now? So
what do I do now? God. Well, I was at the Women's March in Washington, D.C., and that was a great day. I also protested the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq. I participated. I was getting a PhD in my 40s, and I participated in a die-in where we lied down on the highway. I think right now I'm active working on doing what I can for voter protection. It's like every presidential election, I am a poll observer somewhere. And but I never hesitate to, but for COVID, I would have joined in a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests. But being over 60 now and having some health challenges, that's the only reason I didn't participate was that. But no, I don't think that you ever give up.
Awesome. And I think that's a really good endpoint for our Q&A. So yeah, thank you, Shawn, for your amazing story today. And I'll turn it back over to Susan.
Thank you, Shawn. I was jotting down some notes on what you were saying, and just, you know, courage, inspiration, hope, and then research. I think you said that many, many, many times, and that goes with loving to learn, and also having all your ducks in a row, I'm sure. So thank you so much. This was very interesting and inspiring. I want to also thank Primary Healthcare for sponsoring the series and the Ames Public Library for partnering on the project. If you have any feedback, feel free to leave that in chat for us. I wanted to let everyone know that there is more Pridefest 2020 coming. Saturday, October 10th, Maximum Music Ames is doing a live stream event. I think those details are evolving, and Saturday, October 24th is our next storytelling project. We are looking for applications for our November storytelling project on the title or theme is Giving Thanks appropriately. So, you know, if you are a songwriter or an artist and are expressing thanks in any way, shape, or form, we don't always need to do a panel discussion. We're open to lots of different formats. And I want to let everyone know that the zine is still taking submissions through the end of October. So check that out if you're interested. You can follow Ames Pride on Facebook, Instagram, the YouTube channel, and the webpage. And I wanted to thank everyone for coming this evening. Thanks so much, Shawn. And that was really great. We need inspiration these days. So thank you.
Keep fighting.
And mask on. I thought that was a fun one I heard recently.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.